This film also had the creepiest Santa. And you could,
oh my god,
yes!
We need to find the fourth dimension, and by finding all these tiny little perfect things that happen in our neighborhood or in our town or whatever, we're gonna find the fourth dimension, and we're missing one. I'll pick Andrew Garfield. Peter 3.
Peter 3.
Ooh, that comic book filter.
This green ball?
This green tennis ball is Vecna, yeah. We're talking about Chippendales the dancers, right? Not Chippendales the chipmunks? Okay, I'm just making sure. I didn't see it, but I know what you're talking about.
Hello, Cinema Peeps!
Hey, Cinema Peeps!
Oh boy.
Aren't you glad you tuned in?
Right? You tired? I'm tired. Everybody's tired.
Well, you have a big reason to be tired. Kaylee was the MVP champ of the Oscar season, and she crammed, what, 6? Did you say? 8! 8 out of 10 Oscar films in one weekend.
Because we only watched one film up to that point. 1. So we watched 8. Thank you. The only film we didn't watch was Avatar, but that's because it's fucking 3 hours and almost 15 minutes.
And it's still in theaters, isn't it?
Correct. And the only times, because I was like, oh, maybe, because I was having friends over for an Oscar party, I was like, oh, maybe I can, we could all go out and see it, But the only times were like 4:50, which doesn't really work because most people are still at work.
Mm-hmm.
And the other time was 8:50. And I was like, that's a hard sell, because if a movie's fucking 3 hours plus trailers, that's usually at least another 15 minutes. I mean, because it's James Cameron, he's probably like, hey, you have to sit through 20. This movie's not starting until after, not like midnight. Like, no one's fucking. Nah.
No, thank you.
I thought I would have time maybe on the day of the Oscars, but I clearly didn't, so that was good. But again, the only times were like at 3. And even though there was one at like noon. If there was the one at noon, I would have maybe tried, but nah, no cigar.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It's just Avatar. I don't give a shit.
Still, like, I think I ended up only watching like 3 or 4 out of the 10, so you powered through and watched like 9 basically out of the 10.
Yeah, and I feel like some of them.
Well, now that you've seen them all, we can dive in a little bit more, because oh boy. Okay, so for everybody who just started watching, if you haven't guessed by now, this is the Oscar recap episode. The Oscars just while you're watching this, by the time you're watching this, the Oscars happened last weekend. But for us, it just happened this weekend. So based off of our recording schedule, we're coming out a little bit late in talking about this, but still, we're going to get into our thoughts, and let's dive in.
So this year we had third-time host Jimmy Kimmel,
and
I don't know, I thought he did okay.
He did. I will agree. I was half expecting it to be a little bit more smarmy, because he usually is a pretty smarmy kind of guy. He likes to push the buttons. But
it was funny because my friend was like, "Oh yeah, he's so funny. He just like says it, He doesn't really care." And I was like, "Okay." And again, maybe comedy is subjective, but I feel like if you're going to do that, you need to like have a funny joke. Like, people have done it and have made it funny, but he just says it and then sits there and just waits for people to go.
Yeah.
And then you have to sit here in this uncomfortable silence, and then I'm staring at him being like, I now realize how punchable your face is right now. So anytime he did that, I was like, I just want to punch you in the fucking face.
Right? And like, I'll agree. Like he started off strong. I found myself snickering at a few of the jokes. He did make a few funny ones. But then as the night started to trail on, it was just getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
Like, okay. You figure now's the time. We've gotten over everything. Everyone's just ready to go, and now I'll bring out the big guns, kind of thing, right?
Yeah. And my friend also kept track of how many times the slap would be mentioned.
Oh yes, that was mentioned a little too many times for my liking.
We had I think we tallied 5 times the slap was mentioned.
Boy, oh boy.
And I'll be honest, like, like, I get it. Like, you can't just not talk about it. But I think it'd been funnier if he kept to one slap joke at the beginning. Like, that's
Mhm.
fine. You know, you get it. And then the one at the very end where he does, like, the incident report thing.
Yeah.
Then I would have been like, that would have been perfect. But
Yeah,
because he
exactly.
mentioned it after the second time, I was like, okay, I'm kind of fucking done with this bit. Can we move on?
Yeah.
Because I feel like normally that last one, I would have been like, oh, yeah, that's funny. But at that point, I was like, fucking hell. Like,
Mhm.
we get it. You
Right?
know, that was the only time you've been fucking relevant. Can you just, like, fucking stop?
Mhm. I did
But,
find it funny though when he was talking about the security detail team that they had, or the crisis team that they had in place, and he would pan over to different celebrities, and it was like Pedro Pascal
yeah.
and a couple other people, and then and Spider-Man, and it's just Andrew Garfield going.
I know. He's like, no, I not didn't do anything.
He's like, yeah. That was funny.
Right, again, and there was, like, funny, but the fact that they mentioned it more than once after I was
Yeah.
like, "Alright, guys, we need to."
Move on.
So,
Yeah.
again, like, I thought Jimmy did okay, but I'll be honest, they could have replaced it with anybody, and I would've been like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine."
Yeah. I think it's mainly like he's got the experience under his belt because he's been a host before.
Yeah.
So they just figure we'll go with what's safe.
I'm just keep
Apparently he's safe. So
'cause who now I'm thinking about it, who the fuck was the host last year?
it
I
was Chris Rock.
was it oh, right, yeah, 'cause, of course, the slap. I'm so dumb. I can't even remember anything. So, see, that's how, like, unforgettable this, sometimes these hosts are. It's like,
Mhm.
"Who?"
Yeah, a little not quite so memorable. I feel like Seth MacFarlane hosted one year, and I feel like he did a really good job.
Mhm.
I liked him.
He's oh, apparently I'm losing my voice.
Uh-oh.
He's a very funny dude and, like, an incredible singing voice with a musical
Oh yeah.
background, which is shocking, but I guess that
Right?
makes sense with all the Family Guy episodes
Yeah,
where they have,
definitely.
like, the musical numbers, and you're just like, "Oh, yeah, okay,
You're
this
like,
actually
"Damn,
makes
man."
sense." Right? Like, damn.
Yeah. And there was one year that Alec Baldwin and Steve Martin hosted, and they were quite funny too.
Mm, the
I
damn.
remember that, yeah.
Yeah, see, my memory just gone to the shitter. Can't remember a single thing.
I think the reason why I remember it so much is because they had one joke where they just walked onto the stage and they were welcoming everybody and they were kind of starting off. They started to point out all the people who were in the audience.
Mhm.
And then I think it was Steve Martin who says, "And there's that damn Helen Hunt or Helen Mirren, damn Helen Mirren." And Alec Baldwin's like, "No, Steve, that's Dame Helen Mirren." It was funny.
Damn. Damn.
Damn.
Damn. What was my thought? I mean, other than that, I found the show enjoyable, but I mean, that was mostly because I had mixed a very stiff drink for everyone. So
Ah,
I
yeah.
will say about halfway, I'm sorry to everyone who made those beautiful speeches, but we were all just pretty much talking over everyone who
Oh
was
no,
accepting
really?
their awards. I don't want to say we were two sheets to the wind, but woo!
Uh-oh.
Be careful
Well,
with the demon head, I guess, is the moral of the story.
e-
Be careful with the demon head. Because, woo!
I mean, well, I'm surprised too because they even like had a fairly strict 45-second
Yeah.
speech
So that was part of
duration.
the heckling was, hey,
Yeah.
you're over your 45 seconds. And like two people got cut off. They like just walked up to the mic and they're like, oh. And then
Yeah.
some people, they're like, yeah, you could talk for a while. And I'm like, fuck you. Let them
Right?
speak.
And I
Like,
was
geez
disappointed. I was
Louise.
I was really expecting some of those dancers to dance people
Oh,
off the stage.
when they were like, that's what's gonna happen, I was like, yo, Jimmy, don't be fucking playing with me right now. If that's what's happening, like,
I
they
want to
better
see that.
come back.
Yeah.
And they never came back.
Nope, they didn't.
Rude, 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 rude,
Right?
rude.
And like I was gonna say, even though they did have the shorter duration speech like rule, I found the show, maybe it's always been long, but I just found it extra long this time.
It's always long.
Considering that the Junos were last night as well too, and the Junos were
Mm.
only 2 hours long, and I was like, that's it? Like it was like such a contrast.
Mm.
But
But we
yeah.
also started very late.
Mm,
Like, we didn't start till like 7:30, so we were able to skip through commercials and stuff.
nice.
And I don't want to be mean, but I skipped a couple of the musical songs because I was like, I'm
Mm,
not feeling this. I was
yeah.
like, skip, skip, skip. So it didn't feel that long to me this year. But again, we also like, oh shoot, I forgot to grab it. it's in the other room. I can't be bothered. But we like printed out Oscar sheets, so we like everybody voted ahead of time. So like we were,
Nice.
checking things off. So maybe that's why it didn't feel so long because we were like waiting, like, all right, what's the next category? Who's gonna get it? Who's gonna get it? Like, so I didn't think it was that long. But then I also stopped to make lava cakes somewhere about halfway through the show. So
Ooh, nice.
it was a little chaotic, I'll say.
Went
that.
all out for the Oscar party.
Hells yeah.
Well, I have to say then, I mean, kind of diving right into the winners, I feel like we got a lot of them right this time.
I
didn't have
got
many wrong
14
ones.
out of 23 right. I was the highest at my Oscar party. I am the
Nice.
winner. I am the wiener.
Nice. I definitely got a couple wrong, mainly just because I was playing favorites and not really going by logic standards.
Yeah, there was
But-
once too where I was like, Batman! I knew I was gonna win, but I was like, Batman!
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I don't know, Everywhere, Everything All at Once. That was dope. Like, I feel
Right?
it deserved everything, and everybody was so happy. I was just
Yeah.
like, oh,
What did
so
you think of it? Because you haven't actually told me because you watched it obviously, but
Yeah, that was the first one we watched in our marathon of to try
Nice.
to keep up with the Oscars, and I'm sad to say we started with the best one, and then we just went downhill from there. But it was really weird too, because my parents were like, "Oh, we really want to watch this film, Everywhere All at Once," and I was like,
Yeah.
"Really?"
Yeah.
I was like, "You really didn't like WandaVision? This is all about the multiverse, like
Yeah.
what?" And even like Doctor Strange too, like they were just kind of like, eh. I was like, I can't imagine you guys will like this very much. And even 45 minutes in, my mom's like, how much dope did these people smoke to make this movie? And I was like, I mean, like, I told you weren't going to like it. Like, I don't know what the dealio was. But I really liked it. I thought it was super creative. It was really sweet. I was just like, it's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, stretch.
It's definitely a wild ride, that's for sure. Like there are times when I was watching it, there are times where I was just kind of like, "What's happening? Oh my god, what?"
Right, it definitely doesn't hold your hand. They're just like, we're going. They just pump the brakes and there's no stopping. You just keep going.
Yep, most definitely.
But yeah, I don't know. I really liked it. And maybe just because, again, I said I'd watch there was a little bit of the filmmakers talking about making the film, so just had an extra appreciation for it.
Yeah, and it looked like they all had a lot of fun filming it too, and it like Michelle Yeoh and her background in martial. I think on the Oscars they said when she went up to accept her award, she doesn't actually have any formal martial arts training in her previous history, which is kind of cool. But considering, in her previous work of film and stuff that she's done, she's known for like doing a lot of martial arts and stuff. So that was really cool to see her get to kind of like do that again. And then same thing with Ki Hoi Kwan, getting to see him do that. And I got so happy when the film won and he was up there with Harrison Ford and he's just like, ah!
Yeah, okay, I'll be real honest. That was the dumbest thing they could have done. They were like, let's have Harrison Ford. I was like, well, we know who won.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What? Like, I get it. It was for like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought the movie was really sweet, but the second he came on stage, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna mark this off as I got it right. Because like, what? Like, they're not gonna be like, oh yeah, Tar. Let's have Harrison Ford give the movie to Tar.
Yeah.
Which I will say, Tar and Triangle of Sadness deserve no awards. So I'm glad that happened.
Ooh.
Hot take. They deserve nothing. Nothing. Oh boy. But what was the other one? All Quiet on the Western Front did really well. Really. All Quiet on the Western Front also did pretty good for itself.
Yeah?
But we also watched a BBC interview with the writer and producer, Leslie. And she is a Scottish woman who does triathlons. She's a champion. She's been doing it for like 15 years and she's won a whole bunch. And the money she won from those competitions, she saved up to help produce this film.
Wow.
I thought was very cool.
That is cool.
But I don't think they won. I don't think that one won for writing, though. I can't remember. Maybe it was Everywhere All at Once. Maybe that one for writing. I
know All Quiet on the Western Front won for best cinematography. And it definitely sweeped up a few other awards.
I think it won 3 or 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it got for sound too, maybe.
Sound editing.
I
Because
think
Top
so.
Gun won the other one.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, again, the problem I have with war films is like I will never watch them again because they're so depressing. And this one follows suit. It's super
Yeah.
depressing. But I mean, it's hard to argue. It did tell a very good story, and it's like an anti-war story
Mm-hmm.
of the German side during World War One.
Mm-hmm.
And you follow these four guys as they're going through the war, and it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot. And they, even though, I mean, this is kind of a spoiler, but not really. But it is a war film, so I figured, I was like, all these motherfuckers are gonna die. It's gonna happen. But the film gave you just that, like, tiny bit of hope. Tiny little bit of hope. And then when it happened, I was still surprised. I was like, why was I? I even told myself they're all gonna die. But they said the actor who played the main guy, I think they said on stage that was his first acting role.
I was just gonna
which
say, yeah.
I will say that is incredible. He blew me away. That was wow.
Well, that's pretty good. I'll have to check it out then.
What was the other one we were just talking about? Oh yeah, Top Gun. Yeah,
Top Gun.
It is all right.
Yeah.
I was just like, honestly, after the slog of Oscar picks, I was just like, thank God Top Gun's here, because oh my God, that was rough.
Yeah. Again, Top Gun, entertaining. Really good. Nostalgia. You
Mhm.
got the reboots and stuff. Oscar worthy? Still scratching my head as to why that is.
That's
But-
okay.
And Tom
That's
Cruise
okay.
wasn't even there. I don't think he's an award show
Yeah.
guy. I don't think I've actually ever seen him at any award shows, but he
Okay.
wasn't there. So
Well, who was it? My friend was saying it's because Nicole Kidman has a restraining order against him. And I was like, oh.
Boy,
Yeah.
oh boy.
Right?
That was something my mom mentioned too, because Lenny Kravitz was up there performing for the In Memoriam bit.
Oh, yeah.
And then right afterwards, Nicole Kidman was up on stage presenting something, and my mom's like, "Ooh, I wonder how awkward that must have been for the two of them, because he was probably backstage while she was there, because they used to date too."
Oh.
So
Did not know that. No? Wow. Banshees. That got nominated a lot, but didn't win anything.
No, it didn't. Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'll be honest, I remember the first time I gave a review, I was like, this is pretty bad. And now I think it's one of my top 3 from the Oscars because the rest of those films are so bad.
Right?
Oh my God.
Definitely. Yep. Although I will say too, maybe I shouldn't be. I mean, I haven't seen it, but I was shocked that Guillermo del Toro won for Best Animation.
Me too, but I'll be real honest. I should have suspected it, but I really wanted Fort Town to win. Again, that was one of those ones where I was like, a complete bias. And I remember, we did one of our Oscar videos, I don't know how many years ago now. I looked up the stat, because I think Disney's won like 80 or 85% of the time in that category. So that's what I was kind of banking on as well. But, And
yeah,
again,
Turning Red was good, and it was based in Toronto, so it's based in Canada, and it's kind of cool, yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't mind again, I don't care for the story of Pinocchio, so that's kind of why I was just like, eh. But I mean, I dig stop motion, so maybe, it might be fun to watch.
Well, when he was going up to accept the award, the announcer was saying that he like perfectly captured the dark side of childhood or something like that, something along those lines. And I was like, "Oh, okay. How do you determine that? How do you determine that he was the one who perfectly captured that, You know
what I like about movies? You can make anything. And you can inspire hope and all these wonderful things. Now that I've heard that, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch the dark side of childhood.
Well, I'll be honest. That's why I'm not a fan of Pinocchio from the Disney films either, because it was a bit traumatizing as a child.
Oh, those I'm trying not to think about it right now, but that scene where the kids turned into donkeys,
yeah.
I should have realized that was up Guillermo del Toro's alley, because holy fucking shit, of course.
Right?
Okay. Oh.
And then speaking of Canada, it was nice that what's her face? Oh my gosh, I cannot remember.
Sarah
Polly. Sarah Polly, yeah, she won for writing.
Women talking, yeah.
Yeah, for women talking, yeah, and she's Canadian.
Oh, so that's
cool.
So that's what lost out. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that was what that's what I was hoping All Quiet would win for, just because of Leslie.
Yeah,
but I mean, yeah, that's cool. It's Canadian. Although we were all like, what? I mean, I watched Women Talking, and it's sad when the movie about a sexual assault on a Mennonite community was, again, a highlight in some of these movies. I was just like,
really?
oh,
wow.
Maybe it's also because it was a shorter one.
Mm.
So maybe it got to its point. It's funny for a movie that was so short, the women were talking and they were talking about how they were gonna leave. And I was like, bro, you said you were leaving at like sunrise? I'm pretty sure it's 2 in the afternoon. Like, you guys are fucked. You need to leave. But I mean, like, it wasn't a bad movie.
Okay,
Again,
that's good.
it's a hard movie to
Yeah.
watch. Again, I personally am not a religious person or part of a, community of Mennonite, but it's something that, I think a lot of women go through.
Mm-hmm.
The power dynamic. And it also touched upon this idea that, like, because they were talking about, like, well, if they leave their village, should they take the boys, or are they a lost cause at this point? Like, is this behavior learned, or is it always just going to be ingrained in them, kind of thing?
Interesting.
So they did bring up a lot of, like, interesting points that they would, like, obviously women talking, they fucking talked about, but yeah, I mean, it was, again, the subject matter is a little rough, but with a nice short run time, and there's a couple, like, funny moments in there, so it kind of all balanced out. So I mean, it's nice that she got to win for it.
Yeah.
But like I said, I wanted Leslie to win, but that's all right. A Canadian one, sure, we'll take the prize. We'll
Yeah.
take the prize.
Well, and I mean, I don't know if it was I'd have to start paying attention in future times for the
Kendra.
Oscars. But well, for the red carpet, because I noticed that, like, they pay attention or they highlight more people than others. And they kept mentioning her a lot of times. So in retrospect, I'm like, so did they know she was going to win ahead of time? And that's why they were paying so much attention to her? Or,
maybe advertisements.
It could just be the context of her writing and, like, with the film and everything like that. Who knows, right? But yeah, just out of all the other ones, she had a lot of focus on her, so which is cool. But that was what I noticed.
They do know things, little secrets. They know secrets. But yeah, basically when every category came up and either Tar or Triangle of Sadness was nominated, I would just be like, no. Please, no. 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 No, no.
No, no, no.
No, 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 no. Like, Kate Blanchett, decorated? Decored? Very famous actress,
Yeah.
She got the chops. It's just like, this film sucked balls. To put it lightly, it sucked balls.
Oh boy.
It was funny how, like, I feel like I saw it advertised as a thriller suspense film. I'd argue it's definitely not. But then I also saw somewhere that it was a drama musical. I was like, no, but sure. Drama, yes. But musical, I think, is a stretch.
Yeah, a little bit.
She is an orchestra conductor. So obviously parts of the movie are her, because that's her life. But, like, I wouldn't say it's a musical, but, whatever floats your boat, I guess.
Yep.
But yeah, I think the best part of that film was when she's falling from grace and they fire her as a conductor, and then she runs in on the performance that she was choreographing her piece for and just fucking tackles the other conductor off the stage.
Wow.
That was probably the single greatest moment of that whole film. It was pretty great.
Oh boy.
But yeah, it was a snoozer and a turder. A hard one? No, hard pass. The hardest of passes.
Hard pass.
The hardest of passes.
The hardest of passes. Oof.
It's just like, I don't know. Because I was trying to, again, it was one of those movies, I hate to admit this, but I had to Google to be like, okay, I think I know what was happening, but I kind of need confirmation, because I was like, what the fuck's happening?
Yeah.
And it was interesting because there was one, again, this is just the Google engine that was saying this, but one thing was like, it's a movie about cancel culture, which I was like, I don't feel like that's the case. But again, this is just like a Google search engine thing. So it's just kind of like the top thing. I would definitely disagree. I think it's a story of a not so great woman. And you watch her manipulate the people around her and basically how she falls from grace from that. So, and again, maybe it's just because, like, sometimes cancel culture has this negative connotation that, like, people just use it to, get rid of people they don't like. But in this case, that really wasn't. This film was about a woman who's clearly not a very good person.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't want to give the movie any credit, but like as you watch it, like you can just like see like all these little things she does, and like if you pay attention to certain things, you're like, oh, wait a minute, she was lying about that. Like very early on, she was already like lying, and you're like, oh, huh, okay. But again, I would never. This one review was like, it was great. It's even better a second watch, and I was like, absolutely not. You cannot pay me any money to watch that movie again.
Oh, jeez.
Like, no, thank you. And same with Triangle of Sadness. Oh my god.
I figured that one was going to be a bit of a shit show because it's about the elite and all that kind of stuff, and just based off the trailer, I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. I don't need to see that.
I mean, they were like dark comedy, and I was like, you know what? I love me a dark comedy. Like, I was really hoping. I mean, my parents thought it was really funny when the ship becomes, there's like this whole part where like they're doing this captain's dinner on like the roughest time on the sea. So like all the shots are like fucking slanted, and I was like, oh god. And then everybody's like vomiting and shitting everywhere.
Oh my god.
And it was a lot. It was a lot. I think the saddest thing is the actress in that movie died shortly before the press release of the film.
Oh no.
So, yeah, both of those movies, throw them in the trash. I don't want them.
Oof.
I don't want them. Oh man.
Boy. But I mean, moving right along, best costume was given to Wakanda, or Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And it was cool that the designer used 3D printers to create like the neck pieces and the hair pieces and stuff.
I mean, I think it's crazy. Like, what are words? I think it's crazy. Like, again, like when, 3D printers were out, it was like, oh, what do you do with this thing? And people have just, been so creative in finding new ways to enhance costumes and like everyday things. And I think that's fucking dope.
Definitely. I think that's a great utilization of it.
Although I can't remember. I think was it her who was thanking her parents somewhere up above? And my mom was like, oh no, are they dead? And my friend was like, I think they're just in the balcony.
I know, I can never tell when they're actually referencing if they're in the building up there somewhere, or if they're like,
right? Because they just point to the sky. They're like, and you're like, oh my god, there's so many dead people. What's happening? There's so many dead people. Oh man.
And it's always funny the one time where they're like, they're all emotional, and they're like, yeah, they're up there somewhere, and you're like, oh, and then all of a sudden you just hear, woo, we love you, like from down. You're like, oh wait, oh, they're alive. Okay.
Oh, yeah, bonus, thank goodness. Woo.
You just wait for that one day when someone does that and they actually mean their parents are dead, and then you just hear, we love you, and they're like, Mom, Dad,
what are you doing?
It's an angel.
An angel. She's an angel. I will say though, Jamie Lee Curtis' reaction to winning was so funny.
It was so Jamie Lee Curtis. It was shut up.
It was very cute. It was very cute.
Good. Yeah. Her speech was nice too, because both her mom and dad are very famous actors. So it was nice to hear her reference that, and it's all come full circle for her and everything. So I was like, yes, well deserved. Good job. Good job.
Yes. And I like when it's like, oh hey, like I may be the one up here, but like it took a village, So it is nice, I mean, I also am like, hey, listen, just take the award, babe. You got it. Like, it's okay. You need to thank everybody, but
yeah,
it's always a nice reminder that like, yeah, it's never always one person. There's so much that goes into filmmaking or really doing anything in general.
Yeah.
It takes a fucking village, So it is great to be acknowledged for those things, but it's also be like, hey guys, we all did it. You know what?
Yeah.
A very Mean Girls, let me just break
Oscar
his
chair. Yeah, exactly.
Could you imagine hucking a piece of the Oscar into the audience? Woo!
Right? Oh my god.
Boom. Oh man.
Yeah. But then, I mean, we all knew Brendan Fraser was gonna win, so
yeah,
that was nice to see. And yeah, him and Ke Huy Quan and all that. I was also excited to see a teaser of The Little Mermaid. That was kind of cool.
I think I've seen that one before, so I wasn't as excited.
I was excited. And yeah, I will agree. Some of the musical numbers that they performed were like a little brutal, a little slow.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like the one that they performed for Everything Everywhere All at Once. The look on my mom's face, she was just like, "Are they
Again,
being serious?"
I love the film. I definitely skipped over that. I was just
Yeah.
like, I'm
It
good.
was
I
it
mean,
was if
it
you
was
if you didn't have you had if you hadn't seen the film at all, you would also be like, what is happening?
yeah.
What is this?"
But the daughter though, she was up there performing the song though.
Yeah,
But did she also sing it for the movie?
I think she did.
Okay, that's pretty
I'm
fucking
not
cool.
100% sure though. Don't quote me on it.
100% Kendra Shopka quote. She quotes that.
But then I don't know if you
Print
saw on
it.
Instagram the funny video I shared of Lady Gaga when she was performing and the
Yo,
cameraman.
bro, I was like, this had to be a creative choice, right? Like nobody else got this. I'm like, why are we so like? I was uncomfortable. I was like, this is too close. This is
Mhm.
too intimate. I don't like it. Again, it might have been when I've been two sheets to the wind, but I was like, this is uncomfortable.
But also, I feel like Lady Gaga didn't really get to watch much of the Oscars because I feel like she saw the beginning half and then she had to go backstage and get all of her makeup wiped off
Yeah.
and all of her hair undone and then do her performance, and I'm sure she spent a chunk of the rest of the time getting her makeup put back on again.
If I was her, I'd just be like, whatever. I'm sitting in the crowd.
Right?
Fuck it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a very uncomfortable. Like, you go Lady Gaga, but when we cut to like the medium shot, I was like, oh, finally a wide shot. It's not even a wide shot, but I was like, oh my god, thank you. Oh, too close. But yeah,
Just
that
a
meme you shared was so funny.
I thought it
That's
was
how I
so
imagine
funny.
exactly how that guy looked too.
Yeah. Just with the creepy look on his face.
And what was the? Oh yeah, there was the other one. I don't remember what movie it was from, but it had the girl from Descendants. Although to be fair, that one song that did end up winning, that was catchy. But I mean, they
Mhm.
also had really fun choreography, so like it's hard
Yeah.
to beat.
Right?
It's hard to beat, and they were supposed to be the dancers kicking people off stage,
Yeah.
so they were the ones like lollygagging, as they
Exactly, yeah.
say, lollygagging.
Yep. But yeah, I would have to say, as I've said it twice already, the highlight of the night for me was definitely Harrison Ford and Ke Huy Quan, and then also seeing Steven Spielberg in the audience just being like, "Yeah!" I was like, "Oh, yay, they're all cheering each other on. I love that."
Oh, wait, did you end up watching The Fablemans?
I did, yes.
What did you think of The Fablemans?
It was a little slow, but I liked it.
Mm.
Because it was about Steven Spielberg's life
Mhm.
growing up and his passions, how he became a filmmaker, all the things that
Mhm.
was going on with his family.
Mhm.
I liked that. And yeah, I didn't realize I mean everyone has dysfunction in their family and stuff like that, but it was kind of interesting to see someone who's so highly praised and so highly loved as a filmmaker and director see kind of like the struggles he went through in his life, his young life.
Mhm.
Um up until the point when he became who we know him to be. And I thought it was kind of funny at the end when he has that moment in the office with the one director, and the guy, he says, "You see where the horizon is? If the horizon's up here, it's interesting. If the horizon's down here, it's interesting. If it's in the middle, it's boring." And then he goes and leaves the office, and then the shot
Yeah.
goes from like being in the middle framed to they lift it up just a little bit. I thought that
To,
was kind of
to
cool.
make it interesting.
Yep.
I think to be fair, so that was one of the ones we did a double feature for. So we watched All Quiet on the Western Front and then The
Mhm.
Fablemans.
Mhm.
And our logic was The Fablemans is going to be better
Mm.
and happier. So going from a depressing war film to like a depressing dysfunctional family was just not a good vibe.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no. I
Mhm.
liked like the little moments, or like especially when he was a young kid and you see him like where he is like watching the train set, where it's like, oh yeah, and you think the shots in your head, and I was like, I feel, and that's what I thought the movie would be more about.
Right? That's what I was thinking too.
And again, I mean, obviously, I shouldn't be like, you can't talk about your fucking family,
Mhm.
but because obviously that shaped who he is as well,
Yeah.
for good and bad.
Mhm.
But what I think that was my, and I mean, really, if I'd read the fucking synopsis, maybe I'd been more prepared. Literally in the synopsis, it's like dysfunctional family. I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
it's about Steven Spielberg's life as a filmmaker. This will be
Yeah.
great. This will be fun. And I was like,
But I do think they did have a good balance between the two because it was cool to see, yeah, like how as a kid he kind of got that spark of interest into film, and then the moments of him getting, saving up and getting a camera, or his dad getting him a
mm-hmm,
camera. The moments where you see him, they're like, "Oh, you should be filming this," and he's filming stuff, and when he finally starts to produce his short films with his friends and stuff, and all the
mm-hmm,
ideas that he gets for the effects and things, and then showing them to his scout group, and then
yeah,
being tasked with capturing the school um ditch day, and then
yeah,
premiering it at prom and stuff like that. I don't, maybe just because like I'm like, that's like me, I did all those things, so I was like really really into it and everything. But yeah, I don't know, I was on the edge of wondering if his mom was of sound mind a lot of the times, like, just because, like, you'd never really heard anything about his family, so I was like, "Oh god, like, was his mom, like, clinically insane or something?" Because there were some times,
mm-hmm,
maybe it was just the way Michelle Williams performed it, but there were times where she almost seemed like her mind wasn't, like, she just kinda was seemed off in some ways. So I don't know, like, maybe that was insinuated, or I guess you'd have to really, like, go and do a deep
yeah,
dive into his life to find out for sure, but obviously it was just that, there was some marital problems between his mom and dad,
mm-hmm,
and all that kinda stuff, and who knows, maybe that's just the way he saw it, if that's the way he was kinda
true.
portraying it to be, but yeah.
Well, especially 'cause my mom before we started was like, oh yeah, supposedly Spielberg waited for his parents to die to make this film. I'm like, huh, that's a weird detail. And then I'm like, oh, I see why. I can see
Yeah.
why you would wait for your parents to be gone to make a film about their crumbling marriage.
Yeah.
Like I said, like I don't think it was bad. I guess it was just more of a downer than I was looking for. I was like, oh
Mhm.
man, I was
Yeah.
really looking forward to something like really good. This is kind of a fucking downer. God
Yeah.
damn. God damn. Oh, stretch my little arm. But I'm glad you liked it, being a Spielberg fan.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, too much of a downer for me. Too
Yeah.
much of a
I'm
downer.
sure maybe in different circumstances it would have been different for you, but, yeah. But, I mean, props to him. I mean, yeah, knowing the fact that obviously he waited till his parents to die to make the movie, I can see why as well. But also, it takes a lot of guts to be able to kind of be vulnerable about your life,
Mm,
and to have someone as loved and talented as him, want to passionately share that with everybody in a cinematic way is kind of cool. And
mm,
um, yeah, hopefully it does inspire, 'cause I feel like that's always, like, I mean, regardless of all the controversy and things that you hear and stuff like that, like, he is very, very passionate about filmmaking, and he doesn't want to see the love and the art and the magic of the cinema and all that kind of stuff fizzle out with technology and streaming services and stuff like that. So I kind of tip my hat to him on that aspect, and hoping that, or seeing that the work that he's doing is maybe trying to hope to inspire kids to use their
mm,
imaginations in that way, and see, or see that the magic of movies is still alive, or keep it alive in a way, I guess, is, yeah.
mm.
So yeah, I'm rambling.
Never, never. I was actually impressed with Seth Rogen. I was
Yeah.
like, oh wow. I'm like, what the shit?
Mhm. Actually, all of the actors that he casted in the film were really good, and they made them look very, like, similar. Like, my mom and I were researching pictures of his mom and dad, real pictures of them, and they do look very, very
Oh
similar to,
really?
yeah, to
Oh,
the actual people.
that's
And
pretty cool.
yeah, and it was kind of cool, like, being that the guy who was tasked to play Steven Spielberg's character, I don't think he's been in a lot of stuff, but, like,
Mm-hmm.
I think they were interviewing him on the red carpet, saying, like, "What was it like being tasked to have to, like, basically do a good, like, make sure you do a good job of, like, portraying Steven Spielberg, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, no pressure at all." But they were all really, like, I guess a lot of the whole cast had shared that they were very grateful and just touched, and also just, like, amazed at all of the stories that he was sharing about his life, and, like, every time that they'd act out a scene regarding anything, they'd kind of turn around and ask and be like, "Did this really happen to you?" And he's like, "Yep." They're like, "Wow." Like, Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I think, yeah, my mom looked up. She goes, yep, they did have a pet monkey. I was like, oh, good.
Yeah.
That monkey deserved an Oscar.
Yeah.
That's what that monkey deserves, an Oscar.
Oscar.
Oh, man. Oh. But yeah, with Everywhere Thing All at Once pretty much sweeping the competition. I mean, like, oh no, a pretty successful award show, I gotta say.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And I can't wait to host the next one.
Yay.
Maybe this time I'll be more prepared and I won't have to binge a whole bunch of movies
Let's be honest.
right before.
We're never prepared.
Never. I don't know why I have a crazy dream of being prepared ever.
Did you guys watch the Oscars? Let us know in the
Mhm.
comments if what your thoughts were on this year's show. If your film was the winner, and or which ones you wanted to see win that didn't win, and yeah, what was the highlights for you? Tell us in the comments.
Yeah, and leave us a deuce, you know? You know, you know.
You know, you know.
You know, you know. But anyways, guys, watch all the content and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Monkey, monkey.
Monkey.
Slay.